All right. So without further ado, I would like to introduce myself. Right. So I've been actually in the F&B industry for about 13 years now. Right. Mainly focused into the F&B sector. Well, some of my experience is actually I've worked at the hotel industry, local chains and also international chains. I've actually ventured into several departments, all-day dinings, banquets, lounge, room service. And also, I've also ventured inside restaurant industry where I was able to look into restaurant chains, fine dine, and of course, retail operations. Well, currently now I'm actually attached with a training and consulting company. It's known as Accent and Berhad and also known as Accent International. Recently, we have been working with an international F&B company located globally. For this project, I'm actually focused more into the Malaysian market and probably soon in the Singapore market as well. Right, for this project, we are actually required to train the employees on brand awareness, customer service, and also product quality. Right, so that was a little bit about me. Well, okay, today I'm actually here to share my knowledge about customer service, which is related to the F&B industry. And also, I'll be sharing a little bit about my experience during my journey in the F&B industry and also some of the best practices. Right. So today's topic will be the essential guide to customer service excellence. In here, we will see how can we make things better and also improve the guest experience. And also, as you all know, it is one of the key areas for customer satisfaction and also the business growth. All right, so everyone, let's get started. All right, I will just share my screen. Okay, so everyone can see my screen?
Can.
Awesome.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
Boleh.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the learning outcome of this session, right, for today. There are several outcomes that you guys will actually experience and learn, which will be the importance of customer service, right? How important is it reflected to the F&B industry? And of course, customer journey experience, what actually the customer go through and what are some touch points, and also identifying the main factors that impact the service excellence. And of course, discovering the techniques of handling complaints and understanding the best practices. And also, of course, last but not least, also measuring the customer's experience in terms of how can we evaluate feedback. Yeah. Yes, anything? Is there anyone want to share something? Okay, yeah. All right. So we will move on. Okay, customer service, right. Here I will actually explain in general term what is actually customer service. All right, so in general terms, right, the concept of customer service refers to the support you provide to your customers, both before and after when they purchase something. All right, okay, so here we are all customers, right? So we actually walk to the store and we purchase anything. So those experience which we go through is actually customer service. For example, let's say we go and buy a shirt, or even we go to a petrol station to pour petrol, or even to any convenience store. Those has elements of customer service, right? So actually, it simply means that it's actually before you go, and during your purchase, and after you leave. Those are certain experience or touch of customer service. But moving on to the F&B industry, how customer service, what is customer service in the F&B industry? Right, okay, I will just read out what is from the slide. Creating an entire customer experience that appeals to customers from the moment they walk in and to make a reservation to the moment they leave or until they end their meal. All right, okay, so it simply means that customer service refers to all interactions between the employees and the customers, from greeting to asking how are the meals, right? So, but what is actually a good customer service in the industry? So to ensure that customers are happy and with an exceptional experience dining, we need to be very helpful, friendly, and also open to feedback. In other words, customers should actually feel very welcome at the moment they set their foot in the restaurant, in regardless if it's going to be a grab and go or a takeaway or even dining a full service in a restaurant. And also, I would like to add on that providing the correct information or the accurate information or even answering certain questions by the customers it's also an element of customer service. Okay, so everyone clear so far? Any questions so far?
So far clear.
Awesome, great. All right. So now we will actually move on to here. Where does it work? So example, where does it work means exactly where do customer service in the F&B sector applies to? All right, I'm sure as you all know, F&B operations is actually a very large scale, right? It's actually a very large industry, right? So you can actually manage a restaurant or a kiosk or probably a cafe with one person or with 500 people, right? It depends on the clientele, the concepts, ambience, and environment, right? So customer service actually can be applied in all these areas which are showed here. Some of the examples are restaurant and casual, where actually you dine in for services or even takeaway, right? And other things like hotels, especially like if you go into the F&B areas such as the buffet services, or specialty restaurants, like some hotels do have Japanese restaurants, Chinese restaurants, Italian restaurants, of course, room service, right? Okay, and also about banqueting. Banqueting actually caters more about meetings, weddings, events, conventions, and also large scales of operations where sometimes you'll be serving business people, families, and VIPs, and also at times royalties, right? So in terms of Cloud Kitchen services offers more into online delivering, where it's very much related to customer service, where it's more to communicating through the phone or through a website or probably through an app, right? Okay, same goes for delivery platform. But cafe and coffee shops here, I would like to stress a bit on is actually the current trend, and it's being developed very quickly, and also it's a very high competitor. Right. Okay. In terms of bar and lounge, there are full service bars, cigar bars, club lounge, premium lounge, and business centers. So these are some of the examples where the customer service elements do apply, right? So practically, if we look at it, actually applies to all F&B areas, right? Okay. So moving forward, we will talk about identifying the customers, right? So identifying customers. Yep. Anything? Any questions? Okay. So yeah. All right, so let's continue, right? So divided into two, which is the internal customers and also external customers, right? So if you look at these both areas, right, in the food and beverage industry, both internal and external customers play a very crucial role in the success of a business, right? So let me just talk a little bit detail on external customers, right? External customers are the individuals who actually purchase goods or services from the F&B establishment. Example is like customers who dine in, your regular customers, your suppliers. It also can be the bloggers, your food critics, actually anyone who actually utilize your establishment or practically your place, right? If a place means, that means it's like if they're going to utilize your meeting rooms or your event space and so on, right? Okay, these customers actually directly contribute to your revenue of business, and they are very essential for your financial in the industry, right? So it is actually very important providing good quality products, excellent services, and also a positive experience for external customers is the key to attract and to actually retain loyalty clients, right? On the other hand, we actually look at internal customers. Internal customers are actually your employees, colleagues, or probably your stakeholders or your owners who actually depend on your product, services, or in your F&B establishment, right? So these individuals actually plays a very crucial role because it actually directly reflects to the overall experience of your of the customer satisfaction. Because you know why? If your employees are happy and they are satisfied with the establishment, they will actually eventually keep your customers satisfaction, and they will actually maintain the experience of your customers, right? It's actually important to build very strong relationship in the internal customers because of it prompts teamwork. It enhances communication and also efficiency within the organization. So, in simple terms, when staff feel valued or supported, or even when they are engaged with the establishment, right, they are more likely to deliver exceptional service towards the external customers. So in here, we actually can see how both internal and external customers are differentiated. So by recognizing both, it is actually important for the internal customers and external customers in the food industry, because businesses can create an environment which is customer oriented that actually helps to develop satisfaction and also loyalty in a longer term. Okay, so everyone clear in this area, or any questions do anyone have?
Pretty clear.
All right, awesome. Okay, so we can move on. All right, so here, now we will actually talk about the importance of customer service excellence. Right. So why is it important to the F&B industry? All right. So I actually need everyone. Probably maybe you can share some keywords in the chat, right? Probably you can share why should we actually provide good customer service to our customers or to our establishments. Probably you guys can share in the chat. Yeah, just keywords should be good enough.
To retain customer return, right? To turn them into regulars.
Right. Okay. Very good. Anything else? Anyone want to share anything? All right. So, okay. Anyway, thank you so much. So, well, it is actually important in investing in customer service. It's actually very crucial in creating a positive impression to the customers. Actually, bottom line, ultimately, it actually drives the business growth. That's why it's actually very important. So now let's look into some of the important elements which plays an important role for the customer service excellence. All right, here, there are two categories, which is loyalty and reputation. All right, so in here, building a strong brand loyalty is actually a long-term benefit to satisfying your customers, right? When a customer has a positive or memorable interaction with your employees or with the establishment, they actually develop a deep connection with your brand. So actually, if you say a small touch can actually make a lot of differences, right? Which actually makes them more likely to choose your restaurant or your establishment or your kiosk over the other competitors, right? So in the long run, the restaurant or the F&B business becomes a very trusted or preferred choice for people for their dining, and also customers will actually value the relationship, right? So this is very important. And also, example, let's say, I would like to share something very personal, right? Okay, right. So something very personal that I actually enjoy Zeus coffee, because the reason being why, it's because I actually love the app because it's actually very user friendly. It engages with the customers. It's actually very convenient, and also, of course, it's affordability, right? And also another thing is because I actually like their tagline. It's very related to customer oriented. It's actually it's not luxury, but it's a necessity. You see, so that's how actually they get it very close to engagement to customers out there, and they make it very personalized for people, right? Okay. So the next, some of the importance factors will be satisfaction and profitability, right? Okay, so happy customers often become your restaurant or your establishment regulars, right? If they actually enjoy the service or experience, right, they will actually they will have an incline to actually share very much a lot of positive feedbacks, or probably some of their positive experience through the platforms such as Google Reviews and TripAdvisor. So Google Reviews and TripAdvisor is actually a platform on the website where anybody is able to comment or probably give their reviews on any products or services, so that people are able to understand more on how are the quality of products and the experiences that they go through, right? Okay, so and also positive feedbacks can actually significantly boost our restaurant visibility and also creditability in attracting new customers to come in. Because like you see in when like for me, right? So when actually if I want to dine into a new restaurant, or probably stay in a new hotel, or maybe go and try out a new thing in the market, I would actually open up Google Review and to view their reviews and see how are they doing, or what are the positive comments or what are negative comments, so that I'm able to evaluate, right? So this actually, if the comments are all very positive, and of course, yeah, I mean, there's always a positive and negative comments, because it depends on the customers and the customer's perspective, and there's a lot of other factors involving, right? So this actually can have a very great impact towards the restaurant business, right? In terms of profitability, right? So satisfied customers tend to be much more generous with their orders, because let's say if they are very happy, right, they would actually want to spend more time in the restaurant, right? So example, instead of ordering just one meal, probably they may order probably an additional dessert, or probably they may be ordering something to take away, right? So these are certain things would actually boost the profitability, right? And also, of course, it directly contributes to higher revenue. And also, example, right? One of them, if your customers are regulars and well satisfied with the service, right? So at times they are actually less price sensitive, making them to actually willing to explore more premium products, and your house specialties are probably further boosting overall sales and profitability, right? Okay. So the next one we will look at, or the next importance will be competitive and branding, right? Well, as we all know, F&B industry has been fairly very competitive, right? Example, restaurant and cafes has been popping up like mushrooms, and they've been serving, actually, to be very honest, they've been serving very good quality food and coffees, or probably beverages, right? So how can we actually differentiate others with our own establishment? What can actually make us better? So by providing an exceptional customer service, satisfaction becomes a key difference which actually to set your restaurant apart from the others. So that is actually one of the difference which you can actually, customer service is the only way you can actually make a lot of difference, because if you're going to serve the same food, the same style of food or the same concept cuisine, so the only difference can be made is actually by customer service, right? When and also in terms of branding, right? When the words are spread about your establishment, right? Word of mouth consistently, it actually provides more diners to actually come in. Let's say if I would like to go and dine in a restaurant, right? And it was a memorable experience, and everything was fine, the environment was good. So what happened is the next day when I go to work, I actually share this with my colleagues. And what happened is probably they may try it. So that's how the word of mouth goes about, right? So these differentiates helps to capture a dedicated customer base and also to maintain a competitive edge in the marketplace, right? Okay, so everyone okay so far? Everyone all right?
Okay, okay.
All right,
Okay.
awesome. Okay, so here, actually, we will look into customer journey. Okay, well, we all have been customers, right? So customers do go through a process, and it's a journey where they experience in different stages, right? So customer journey may be actually very simple and straightforward. Example, right? So probably you may, people may think, or anyone may think like, okay, I just go into the restaurant, I just dine, I eat, I pay, and I leave, right? But actually there are certain stages inside the customer journey. However, usually customer will go through a variety of stages and experience before even buying the product and even actually becoming a customer. So let's look on what are some of the areas or touch points that customer go through. So here, actually, there are stages. One is actually the pre-visit. The pre-visit actually means anything which is before the arrival, right? During visit is the journey of the experience during the visit, right? And also post means what happens after your customer leaves, or what happens after your customer has made the payment, right? Okay, right. So this is actually the customer experience, the guest experience, right? So if you look, I've actually divided to reservations, arrivals, orders, service experience, payments, and farewells. But along the way, there are several touch points, right? So every touch point that your customer go through are the experiences, right? So let's look at the reservations and arrivals, right? Okay, so the first thing as a customer, usually when they are going into a restaurant or probably any cafe, they would actually make reservations through phone calls, online booking platforms, and restaurant websites to actually secure a table on a preferred date, right? And in terms of walk-in customers, guests who actually arrive at your restaurant without any prior reservations, which are actually greeted by the staffs, and actually they will try to accommodate them if the seats are available, right? And of course, besides of arrivals, there's always sittings where hostess or hostess are they usually guide the guests to their designated tables to ensure a smooth and welcoming start for their dining experience, right? So the next we can look at is actually ordering, right? There are several touch points here in the ordering, where the first one will be actually choices. This is where actually guests review the menu offerings to make the dining selections based on the personal preference, right? So the next one is actually placement, where actually a guest place their orders with the employee, or providing specific instructions or customizations, requests for their meals, beverage, and also additional service or accommodation needs, right? Okay, the next one is actually dining experience, right? In here, this is where most of the engagement happen, right, between the employees and the guests, right? Okay, in here we will have to look into food quality, presentation, time of wait, interaction of employees with the customers, right? Okay, in terms of food quality, right? So guests actually enjoys the taste, freshness, and some presentation of their meal, right? And also, of course, they are expecting high quality ingredients, right? In terms of service interaction, guests interact with servers and restaurant staffs during the experience. In here, actually, where they will actually get engaged with customers and trying to understand their customers better with what actually they like and what is the purpose here. Are they celebrating any special day, or it's their anniversary, or probably their likes and dislikes, to actually build a good network and also to build the awareness between the employees and customers, right? Okay. One of the final part is actually the billing, where actually the payment process. So here we will actually offer availability of payment options, receipts, and also what are the payment processing, how actually they can make the payments. Is it very user friendly that they can make it through an app, or probably they have to walk into the counter and make a payment, or the server actually comes directly to you, which is much more convenient, where you are able to make the payment immediately at the table, right? Okay, the stage 5, the last stage is actually about farewell or depart. In here, right, is usually where the restaurant actually, where the customer checks out, right? So in here, it's actually a collection of feedbacks on the dining experience, right? Follow-up of communications, and also, of course, to get to know more about the customer, about their feedback, their experience, and also we try to analyze a bit and try to build the loyalty and to secure the regularity. And also another thing is what we can do is actually in here is follow up with communication, which means after once they have dined in, probably the next day, we're able to contact them or send them an email of thank you for dining with us, and probably, here is our loyalty program. So in future, probably you can engage with our loyalty program to secure the business. All right. So everyone doing all right so far?
Doing great.
All right. So any questions so far? Any questions so far?
No question yet so far.
No questions, yeah? All right. So let's move on, right? Okay, the next one is actually factors influencing excellence of customer service, right? There are actually a lot of factors which actually influence the customer service. All right, so probably here, the next one I would like to share is, what do customers actually feel unhappy about? Okay, so in here, right, I've actually placed, I've divided to several areas, such as communication skills, quality, behavior will be the behavior of the employees, seatings, environment, price, and cleanliness, right? These are the main issues which actually will really impact the customer service experience and their dining satisfaction, right? Okay. Moving forward, we will actually look into some of factors that actually influence. Right. So in here, we will actually focus on main 4 areas. How does it actually impact the customer service experience? Okay, the first one will be consistency. So let's go into consistency. All right, in here, as you get the consistency, all right, is actually one of the key areas which can tremendously impact the customer service. Example, the first one is like product knowledge, right? So it's actually very related to employees. It's where product knowledge is about whether the employees are well equipped with the knowledge of the menus, ingredients, facilities, right, the surroundings over them, and also certain customer requirements. Example like allergens, or what certain food safety knowledges. These are actually very, very important for an employee to know, and also to be equipped with it. And another thing will be consistency following the SOP based on the brand standards. So which means is by actually following on the brand standards, you will be able to maintain the quality, and also, of course, maintaining the exceptional dining experience for your customers. Because example, let's say if I dine in this week, and probably the food presentation is different, but the next week when I come, the food presentation is different. So probably this will actually reflect and think that probably, the customers may think that, oh, okay, so you guys are actually changed, your staff or your chef has changed, or probably you have changed owners. So these are certain impacts which actually happen. Okay, the next one will be daily briefings. It's actually very important here. I would like to stress this. It's actually very important to have your daily briefings, or to actually to attend the daily briefings, right? It's because in daily briefings is actually information provided, mainly like the special requests, the menu items, who are the VVIP guests, what are the assignments should we do, or is there any special care that we need to take of, right? So that's why this daily briefing, it's very essential. It's good to have it each operations, before each operations, so that all the staffs are actually equipped with all the knowledge, and they are able to speak the same language. Okay, the next one is, of course, conduct audits. It's the reason to conduct audits is actually to evaluate and see the service standards. It's actually like a measurement tool. Okay, example, if you are a restaurant manager, or probably an F&B manager, or an operations manager, right? It's always good to actually go and evaluate and see, to conduct audits, and to see where do the staffs or the employees stand, and also to identify the gaps. That's the reason why audits should be conducted. And also another thing is checklist. Checklist is something that we should not skip, because checklist is very essential. It actually helps you to guide, to follow through the process. Because if we would like to remember everything, I think sometimes we may miss out certain things. So that's why it's very essential to go through a checklist, so that we don't miss or skip any steps. All right. The next one we will actually look as attention to details, right? Okay, attention to detail is actually very, very important. I'm sure all of us would have heard this term very, very frequent. We should be attention to details. We should look into details, right? The reason why we should look into details is actually to identify what our customer needs and wants, right? The example, right? Okay, it actually plays in a very important role in reservations, right? So during a call, when the customer calls in and say, right, it's very important to ask any special requests. Active listening is very important, to listen actively, right, and also to engage with them. And also sometimes that we need to ask questions to actually know and find out more about what's the reason they're coming from, and what is the special occasion, and do they need anything else, so that we are able to accommodate them when they are here, right? Okay, another thing is that ambience of space and environment. It is very important. It's actually maintaining your restaurant, right? For an example, to ensure that your establishment, your restaurant or establishment is actually kept clean all the time, right? All the equipments are maintained all the time, so that you're able to run a very smooth operation, and also to check if the aircon temperature works well, the smell in the restaurant, and of course the layout, the setups, because at certain establishments, right? Let's say if we talk about fine dinings, or any major banquet events, or probably some room service, they actually go very detailed into reviewing any fingerprints on glasswares or cutleries, right? So that's how attention details should be addressed, right? So, and of course, it should also be according to the brand. So we as associates, F&B associates, we actually have to look at the quality of ingredients we use, whether the portion is correct, is it valued for money, right? So these are one of the key areas we should actually look at, right? Okay, another thing is equality of treating the customers, right? As the local term we use is double standard, right? No double standards. Okay, it's because the reason is let's say if we start creating a double standard here, there will be definitely customers will not come to your restaurants anymore. Example, if you have in local terms they say matsale, right? If you have a matsale sitting there, you take care of the matsale so well, but then the local customers here or the Malaysian customers here, you don't get this happens quite frequently in the F&B industry, but this culture should not be practiced, right? Because everyone who comes into the establishment, whether regardless if they are paying less or they're paying more, they are still customers, right? Okay, so the next one is also, of course, to provide recommendations, right? Example, right? So let's see if you have a regular guest, right? Where regular, you notice it's a regular guest and the guest did not make any reservations. So suddenly you notice a regular guest and then you said, "Hey, hi, sir, hi, Mr. Smith. Would you like to have the usual?" All right, or or probably if you see a baby, right, a baby or probably a kid there, so you should immediately offer that. Would you like to have a baby chair? Or even let's say if you find an elderly coming into the restaurant or to the establishment, so probably maybe you want to tell them, so probably I will allocate you somewhere further than the aircon so that they are much more comfortable, right? In terms of hygiene quality, it's very important for us to actually take care into our personal appearance and also attire to actually match based on to the brand standards.
I know. So,
Right. Okay. And also it's
sorry, I have a question. So you're saying a capability of making recommendations.
sorry. Yeah.
What
Sorry.
about Yeah. What about how would we know what kind of recommendation we would make, like an upsell, or
Okay.
how
It's
do we know
okay.
what kind
Let's
of
see.
recommendation of food or drinks that we should recommend to these
Okay.
customers?
Yeah, sure. That's actually a very wonderful question. Example, right? Okay. Let's say if you see two adults and a kid, right? Two adults and a kid. So what happens is once you notice a kid, right? So what you can do is, hey, we actually have a special kids menu. You probably can suggest that to the kid before even the parents, because sometimes the parents are probably they try to browse the menu long time when they want to order for their children. So probably you can state certain recommendations for that, or probably example, right? You can even suggest selling, or like you mentioned earlier, upselling, right? So these are example, like you probably can say if the customer would like to order a steak, probably a ribeye, right? Maybe you can actually explain to them and take it to the next level. Probably they want to have something better quality, right? So these kind of areas where we can able to anticipate, right? And like also like I mentioned earlier, right? So if you see our customer walking with a stroller and a baby is there, so we can actually automatically anticipate and say, would you like to have a baby chair, right? So yeah, have I answered your question?
Okay. Okay, number nine. Yes.
Sorry?
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, you did.
All right. Okay. Awesome. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is called personalized service. All right, personalized service. Okay, it's actually to encourage your employees to offer personalized service to the customers. These are actually one of the key areas which actually customers look for when they go in and dine in a restaurant, right? Okay, creating a personal experience for each and individual customer, memorable dining experience, having good conversations with customers, being able to approach and keep your customers comfortable, and also offering something exclusive, right? So it's actually always good to sometimes to go beyond to meet or to exceed expectations, right? Because sometimes if we notice, if we do a little bit extra for the customers, you will actually notice that they will live very happily, and even without you offering, they will actually place a very good review on Google, or probably in in any website, right? So this also helps to have repeat customers return back frequently if they actually enjoy your place, right? Another thing is actually, if possible, we should actually address our customers by name, or if you know them, you should actually address them and probably know what actually they like or dislikes. These are certain little personal touch. Even by addressing their name, it's actually a big thing for a customer. Example, right? If you talk about, yeah, welcome back, Mr. Smith. Great to have back, Mr. Smith. Or probably, would you like to have the usual? Right? So these kind of things are little touch, which actually does not take much effort. It's just that we just have to remember, because you know why it's easy to remember, because it's actually, if they come in with the reservation, the name is actually there. It's actually very easy. We just have to write it probably in a pen or something, I mean, on a paper, and just keep it. And we know that if we are going to take care of that area or that section, we are able to accommodate that, right? Okay. Another thing is, like, of course, it's always good to keep a record on some of the customers. I mean, most of the customers, their special days or their birthdays or some of their preference. Like example, right? We do have a reservation book, or probably a reservation system. In there, we are able to key in all the details. So example, if that customer is making reservations during that day, all right. So if it's a new customer, then you're able to key in all the preference there, so that we able to understand the customers even better, right? Okay. Another thing is, like, of course, offering something exclusive, right? This is also another personal touch. A small gesture, like I mentioned earlier, right? A small gesture actually makes a lot of difference, including any personal details that you might have learned about them, right? Okay. For an example, if I can say, if Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I mean, probably I like using the word Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith mentioned that they actually love salmon. So we actually can note in the remark that in the guest profile, if we have a profile, or we actually develop a system, or if you guys have a reservation system, you're able to key in the remarks what are actually the customer's favorite, and you're able to offer them the next visit. Probably, like example, let's say Mr. and Mrs. Smith again, right? Since you know that you like salmon, so the next time you come, you can actually check with your kitchen team and say, hey guys, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is coming. So do you actually have salmon? Yes, they have. So what you can do is you actually can offer to them and say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, welcome back. We actually have salmon fresh flown today from Norwegian region, right? So these are little things which you actually make your customers happy. Okay. Any questions so far before I move on?
Yeah, how do you actually make, say if let's say if you don't have all those tools that you have, like what you said, jotting down in a journal or in your notes or in your system. Say if it's just a restaurant, and then how do you create a memorable dining experience to customer? And I mean, to how do we make conversation with customer? Like, what is the proper conversation, or like what is the proper approach that we need to have with customer?
Oh, I mean, sorry, I actually can't hear you much because of the background sound. Don't mind if you can actually repeat your question. I'm sorry about that.
I see. Okay. So I was saying that if how do we create memorable dining experience?
Right.
Number one. Say if we are not in like a high end setting, and then how do we have conversation? How do we approach customer and start a conversation with customer? How do you know what is appropriate? How to make an opening speech, or how do you start a conversation with
All
customer?
right, sure, no problem. Okay, that's a very great question. That's wonderful. All right. Okay. So the first thing is actually, I would answer your first question is actually how to create a memorable dining experience. Right. Okay. In order to create a memorable dining experience, right? So we should actually engage the customer first. All right. Of course, I understand that sometimes customers are also, they are like strangers. So because first time if you're going to talk them, so usually what you can do is you can start little, start by using little engagements, right? A little bit of, hi, good evening. So what brings you here today, right? These are little words which you can start, because then they say, oh no, I'm just here with my family casually. I'm just walking around and I came. So that's how you can find out, oh, okay. Then after that, then the next question will be definitely, so you guys are open every day or you guys move in? So that's how the conversations kick in. So these are certain things which you can use, like, hi, good evening. It's how are you? I hope you are doing well today, right? So these are certain words or certain sentences which you can do. But of course, the best, my best suggestion will be the first thing that, hi, great to have you here today. What brings you here today? All right. So these are certain keywords which you can use. And of course, the thing is creating memorable dining experience, right? Okay, let's say I would say a little touch, like example. Let's say if during the conversation, right, you manage to find out it's the guest's birthday, right? So what can you do? Sometimes you can go beyond an expectation. Yes, if you have a dessert in the kitchen or something, yeah, you can probably provide a small dessert to them and say, as a gesture from our restaurant, happy birthday, right? These are creating small dining experience. Even another thing is example, right? Let's say if they're having a meal, right? So probably you can also suggest them, or probably you can say, hi, since you're having a meal, I'll probably get you a small appetizer for you, or small amush bush for you, so that you can enjoy our better experience, so that in future you, if you like it, you can also order this product. Or not. Another thing is a small thing is you can do is giving food sampling, where in a dining experience you actually have a short discussion with your chefs and try to see that what are the small products or canapes or something like that which we are able to give to customers when they dine in, so that they can actually know more about your product, and also they will actually feel very happy to actually receive this extra additional dining experience. Right. So, okay. Did I answer your question?
Yes, and another question is, what if
Yes.
the customer looks upset and unapproachable and looks like very angry?
Right. Okay. That's a very good thing. So actually, this will be further down the slides where we will actually talk about handling difficult customers. Right? So probably, I think probably in a few more slides time, we'll actually encounter this, and during that time, I will share about it. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay. So let's move on to the next one, where where certain skills to actually be we should actually focus on, or to be developed on, right? I've actually divided into four. One will be actually communication, flexibility, empathy, multitasking, and time management. Right. This is actually very essential in any establishment, because it actually reflects directly to the customers. Right. So let's move on. Let's look into the next slide. All right, let's talk about communication, right? Okay, communication skill enables an F&B a professional F&B associate to actually build relationship with the customer. Simply means you actually providing inquiries quickly and effectively, so that they get a very positive answer, or they get a very positive experience, right? So, okay, actually, based on our research, I would like to share something. Based on our research, right, physical nonverbal communication is almost 65%. while interacting with someone. When you talk with someone, it's only 25, we use 25%, 28% is tone, and the balance 7% is all about communication, right? So what it means that physical, which means motor, body language, facial expression, everything is about 65%, right? And 28% is almost more for verbal communication, right? And the rest, 7% impacts on quality of communication, right? Okay, so I would like to go in a little bit more into verbal communication, right? Verbal communication is actually how do we actually use our pitch, our tone, and our pace? So example, right? Let's say when we talk a customer, right? We actually have to be in a very polite manner, in a very subtle tone, right? And whenever we speak to them, we should be very clear to them, not too fast, not too slow, so that they're able to cope with whatever you are trying to say, right? In terms of, let's say, example, I will just give you an example, right? You imagine if you speak loud to the customer, or you probably shout loud to the customer, like, oh yes sir, like, that kind of expression. Sometimes they may feel be triggered, or probably they may be shocked, or they may be like, oh wow, I mean, like, sometimes they will get that shock sense, right? So we try not to trigger the customers much, right? So we try to approach them with a very subtle way, right? In a nicer way, in a polite way, with a soft tone first, and then we take it on, right? Okay, what about the non-verbal communication? All right, non-verbal communication, because like you like just now I shared the research mentioned, 65% is non-verbal communication when we engage with staff, which when we engage with the customers, right? Nonverbal communication means facial expression, right? When we speak to customers, or when actually we stand at the dining area, right? We should always be smiling. That's very important, right? Because that shows that you are very approachable, that the customers can approach you. You are open to be approached. That should be the main thing. Another thing is the posture, right? When you stand, you should be standing in a professional way, not leaning on the wall, or probably having a gesture that your hands in the pocket, or probably maybe even you fold your arms like this. That's not good, because that feel that the customers will feel that you are not welcome. I mean, you are not welcoming them, right? Okay. So and also in terms of listening skills, right? We should, whenever we listen, whenever the customer says something, especially when the main thing is during reservations, or even when there is the customer is trying to communicate something, we should actually be very, very focused. So during this time, we should not be doing any other things than actually focusing with the customer and trying to understand what is the customer trying to say. Let's say in the event, if you actually not understand what the customer is saying, you can actually gently ask them, if you don't mind, could you please repeat? Right? So you actually can ask if you don't really, because it's always good when you listen and you do not understand, it's always good to ask questions again, right? And then of course you have to evaluate, and then once you evaluate means you try to analyze and see what is the customer trying to do or trying to say, and then you respond accordingly, right? Okay. So everyone all right so far for now for communications?
I have a colleague, right? I'm
Yeah.
so sorry if I'm disturbing you.
No, you're always welcome. Yes, please.
So I have a colleague. This is a real life experience. So I
Okay,
was in a customer service line,
okay,
and my colleagues often talk with the high pitched tone, like
okay,
ah,
okay,
never gitu. Tapi and then when client often, our customers often like get up, like ask me, like, is your colleague okay? Is she angry? And then at that time I didn't know that pitch and tone is also a part of customer service that we need to adjust. And then um the colleague said that, oh, I'm so sorry, that's just how I talk. That's just how I
yeah,
talk. She keeps saying that, I'm so sorry, that's just how I talk. That's just how I talk. how do we then make them understand that? How do we tell them or make them understand on like on changing this approach or this behavior?
Okay, because you see, and as being in the customer service line, right? So all of us know that we have to be very adaptability and flexibility, right? Because sometimes we actually, I mean, by nature in the customer service line, you actually have to adapt yourself into all situations. Because you see, uh customers will actually get angry, actually not at you personally. Usually customers will get angry during a certain situation or probably on something. So you should not take something personal with you. But in this case, probably the employee itself is actually has a naturally a high tone, right? Which I totally understand. But of course, in the customer service line, that she or he should actually probably try to change or get herself improved or probably adapt into the situation slowly. I understand it's very difficult at times because for a number of years you've been practicing. I mean, you've been actually talking in that way, and suddenly if you have to change, it's going to be very difficult. But of course, there should be a little bit changes. You have to take progressive changes slowly. And of course, to the only thing is what we can do is actually to adapt into the situation and making understand why actually verbal communication is actually important, right? How pitch can actually trigger somebody. Because probably maybe what you can do is another way is actually creating role plays with her. Right, this is another additional thing which I can share. Probably maybe during a session or probably during your break or during your training, if you organize a training, probably you can try to engage and engage two people. Probably you just give a situation. One is a customer and one will be employee. So probably you just give a scenario to the customer and say that probably you give the employee the situation that say your voice, your pitch is high. So how would the customer feel? And then there you get the feedback of all the employees. So probably this is another way. But of course, try not to be very offensive, or probably try not to be very direct to her. But probably maybe by counseling her and by engaging with this kind of role plays might also help her. Right. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. So moving forward. Right. So here, empathy. What is empathy? Okay, right. Empathy is actually to identify how your customers are feeling at that time and at that situation, right? This is actually used during mainly on handling difficult situations, right? Of course, in simple and layman terms, or what, probably this is where you have to show your drama skills or showtime, right? Okay, so most establishments will actually or should also focus more into this area, right? As this is where you actually can change a complaint to a situation or to a complaint situation to an opportunity, right? Okay, the first thing we look at is to recognize and understand the emotion of others. Right, it's actually very, very important to actually to understand and see what are your customers going through during a difficult time, during a difficult situation or a complaint, right? And also another thing is an ability to respond in a supportive manner. So during handling a complaint or probably a difficult situation, right? We should respond in a very supportive, that we do not go against them. Probably we should just speak along to them. And after this, I will share some of the examples. How can we do it, right? The next thing is actively listening. It's very, very important when somebody is speaking or probably sharing how they feel about the product or service. It is important for us to listen carefully and probably do not interrupt. Right, that is important, because if you tend to interrupt, it'll actually trigger them and make them much more angrier, right? And also probably we should also acknowledge their feelings. And also the last but not least is actually showing a genuine concern for their well-being, right? And here I would like all of us to try to take this keynote down, that practicing empathy can actually help to improve communication, resolve conflicts, and strengthening relationship by creating the sense of mutual respect and trust, right? So the next one I will actually share some of the examples, what actually we can use, how to actually empathize your customers, right? Some of the key examples, right? Sentences. All right. Here, okay, these are some examples which you can use. So the main thing here, right, in during the for empathy or to be empathized, right, is actually to switch sympathy to be more empathic statements in your interactions, right? This is very important. Using empathy statements will make the customer feel valued, right? It also demonstrates a willingness to go above and beyond, and also how do we address customers' concerns, right? So example, right, there's a few sentences or dialogues which I've shared here, which will be easier, right, for you all to practice. Some are like, thank you for bringing this to my attention, right? Or, I'm sorry that you are facing this issue. I understand how you feel. So when you mention this, right, your tone, you actually have to lower down your tone so that you also feel that, you feel you feel that the customer feels heard, right? So you actually understand, you actually understand their feeling. Another thing is, one of the things is actually you can use is, what can I do to make things better, right? Because usually at this period, right, customer just wants you to listen to them, and of course to feel how to actually acknowledge and understand what actually they're going through at this time of period, right? So we move on to the next one, which is multitasking and time management. All right, so multitasking is actually the backbone of any F&B establishment, in regardless service or kitchen, it doesn't matter. But I'm sure all of us have heard this word very, very frequent. We have to multitask, 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 right? Okay, by embracing multitasking, service and kitchen staff can actually enhance productivity and to reduce waiting time for hungry customers or customers who are actually waiting for a long time, right? Example, right? Let me just give you a small situation, right? Okay, let's say in the kitchen, right? In the kitchen, if it's efficiently managed, right, and you have your mise en place prepared, you have your stations working well, everything, you will tend not to have any delays on food, right? And also, if everybody works synchronized, right, from because if you're gonna prepare, if you're gonna get some dishes from the cold, some dishes from the hot, and some dishes from the other section, and everybody works synchronized, you will not have any, you'll probably have flawless operation, right? And everything will be smooth. So and also, it once if everyone multitasks and gets things prioritized and try to work things faster and make things easier, it actually will help the experience, because when everything works well in the kitchen, the service serves better, serves faster, and they have time to engage with customers with positive approach and giving them positive dining experience rather than handling more complaints, right? Okay. Another thing I would like to add is time management and multitask. Actually, they go hand in hand. It's actually making important for the employees to balance several tasks at one time without even losing focus, right? So there's this thing saying that we should always treat a table as if they were the only table, right? So example, if we have probably 50 tables in the restaurant, and probably one employee is taking care of 10 tables, right? So each and every table is, they should always take care as if like that's the only table they have in the restaurant, right? So that's why it's very important that even there are other tasks as associated in the F&B industry, but it is very, very, very important to actually plan your time and multitask accordingly, right? Okay, but I understand that sometimes at if you're serving 10 people, right? If you're serving 10 tables, right? Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, but if possible, right? If possible, when a customer approach or when the customer carries up hand and says, hi, always look at the customer, even you're doing something, always look at the customer and approach the customer, or probably just nod your head, or probably say, hi, just give me a moment, I'll get back to you, or probably just give me a moment, sir, I'll assist you in a while, right? At least we acknowledge this. It helps to reduce a lot, because most of the time is when we are busy doing something, right? When we tend to ignore the customers, this is when customer feels a bit frustrated, and then it adds on, the anger adds on, so on, until they burst, right? So these are
Yes, I totally agree with that. Oftentimes, me as customers, I've been waiting for so long and they just keep ignoring me because they're so afraid to look at me, because then they're afraid that we're gonna ask again. But by them, like before I ask them, they look at me and they say, give me 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So actually that helps to actually like redakan si kemarahan I lah.
Betul. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Because if the longer you don't approach the customer, the longer they will actually feel, they will feel the pressure, right? Because you see, if you actually inform the customer, or the customer is waving, sometimes you go in any busy restaurants or busy cafes or outlets, right? Sometimes you will just keep waving your hand, waving, and nobody actually looks at you. Right. So this actually creates a very unhealthy experience for the customers, right? So imagine if you are still busy, let's say even, okay, I'm here clearing a table, right? Okay, I'm just clearing the table, everything, right? But if I see, I still have to look around and I see one customer waving, I would just say, hi, sir, I'll just say, I'll be there in a moment, right? These are certain things. I mean, it's nothing, but it's a little touch which actually really helps at this kind of situation. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thanks for sharing earlier. Okay. Next one we look at as flexibility, right? Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, right? So it is actually very, very important, right? Because every guest has its own unique preference, right? Okay, as an FMB or customer service associate, right? We must be very flexible, right? Firstly, because like I mentioned earlier, our customers has unique preference, right? Being flexible allow us to accommodate these kind of different needs and provide positive dining experience for each individual, right? Additionally to that, right? Flexible enables us to adapt quickly to this situation, rectifying the issue and ensure the customer satisfaction. Because let's say if we're going to always think that, oh no, let's say if it's you're walking the straight path, let's say if the customer asks something and I always say no, 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 do you have this? No. Do you have this? No. But imagine if you be a bit more flexible by taking the effort and going to the kitchen, or probably going to, heading to the hostel center, Googling it out for them, trying to search, help them. These are certain flexibilities that certain touch points which actually help to enhance the experience of customer service, right? Last but not least, flexibility in accommodating customer experience or preferences addressing is unexpected situation is actually essential for providing excellent customer service and also creating welcoming and also enjoyable dining experience. Because you see, by being flexible, right, we are able to accommodate them, also understand the customers, right? So from there we know that customers do actually like this and do not like this, which is able for us to give feedback later in the future, or probably to put it into our guest profile, right? And also, of course, last but not least, is to enhance the customer experience. All right, so now we will move on to handling difficult situations, right? So in here, we will actually look at the ways how can we actually tackle difficult situations. So there are actually a few reasons why do actually customers react, or probably they get angry or probably they get upset, right? One is because their expectations are not met, right? One more thing is poor value, right? And of course, they feel unfair being treated, right? They've been treated very unfair. Another thing is to get attention, all right? Right. So these are certain areas which actually makes the customers feel a bit unsatisfied, and that's why they will actually tend to complain, right? But of course, during this period, during handling a difficult situation, there are types of customers. There are a lot of types of customers, right? So we will look into the several types of customers, right? Here, right? Customers' behavior, right? I'm sure all of us we have encountered this kind of things, that the rude customers, the loud customers, the angry customers, the impatient customers, and the complaining customers, right? And rude customers, actually, some of them, they can be actually very, very rude, right? I remember that one time I was managing one of the outlets in the hotel, and what happened is the customer, because we do not accept foreign currency, it's because due to the policy, but we actually told them that he's able to go to the money changer, which is just right opposite the building, and they are able to change that. But I'm not too sure why he did not do that, but he was very unhappy with it. He actually, what happened is he actually threw the US dollars he had from in his hand to me. He actually threw on my face. So these are certain customers which sometimes they tend to react that way because probably maybe they feel upset with something, right? Okay, and of course there are some loud customers, right, who actually shouts when a situation happens, right? Of course, when the customer shouts, it's actually not so healthy for the whole dining experience, the whole dining environment, where everybody will actually turn around to look what is actually happening, right? So yeah, it's actually like a center of attraction. The next one is like angry customers, right? Of being in the F&B industry or being in the restaurant business, it's pretty common to actually find a lot of angry customers, impatient customers who actually probably just ordered the food, and in 5 minutes they keep asking, "Hey, where's my food? Where's my food? I ordered long time ago." But actually, if you really check and see, it's 5 minutes. So yeah, these are certain areas that common issues which actually happen, the types of customers which actually happen, right? But it's actually good, it's actually very positive. We should actually take it very positive when we have this kind of customers, because you know what, it keeps us, it develops our learning ground, that every day we are able to, look at new things, identify new things, identify the gaps, because when you have this kind of customers, right, we're able to identify the gaps and look and see how can we make it better, right? Okay, so here, dealing with difficult situations, right? Okay, there are 6 steps, all right? Okay, so the first thing is actually let your customer express. So in here, right, allow the customer to express and listen carefully. Always we should focus on what the customer is trying to say and take some notes, right? Finding the reason of the complaint, right, is the key point. This is what we need to do, right? Another thing is once actually when we are listening to customers, try to always have a notepad and trying to take down, because sometimes when the customer is expressing something, we may miss out, or probably the customer speaks very fast or what. So and also it's also another point where the customer feels that we are taking it serious, right, when we're writing down the issue, right? Okay, the next thing is actually do not react fast when you're handling a situation. Example, when the customer is expressing, right, do not try to react fast, or or probably you should not reflect negative expressions, like or probably like show like hey, it's just a small thing, or probably body language, right? So you should be always very approachable, like I mentioned earlier. Don't fold your arms and all when you're handling difficult situations, right? The next thing is actually take ownership, try to do your best, right? Even though if it's not your area, let's say if it's related to a colleague of yours or something, you're just passing by and then the customer calls you and you should address the customer. Thing is, you should take ownership because it's very important to secure. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's if the customer belongs to another colleague or it's an issue of a kitchen or a food quality. We must take ownership, right? That's the first thing we have to do. We can't say like, oh, sorry, just a moment, let me get. No, don't cut them off. When you cut them off, when they start waiting that long, that's when the pressure starts, right? Okay. After that is show empathy, right? Like I mentioned earlier, right? So focus, all right? Soft tone, right? So that it don't trigger customers. Like you can say, some like some of the examples were shown. Thank you for bringing to my attention. I understand how do you feel, or here is what I can do for you, right? And then after that, what you do is actually you apologize immediately and say, I'm sorry for what you have experienced, or probably I'm sorry that you are facing this issue. So sorry that you had to go through this, right? So you apologize. These will actually calm a little bit the customer because you are actually trying to you are taking initiative to solve some problem, right? You're actually taking initiative to calm the customer down. All right. The next one we can look at is, of course, do not focus on the problem, focus on the solution, right? What in here, when actually you're handling a difficult situation, right? Try to offer multiple solutions. The reason being why we should offer multiple and just not one solution is because to actually divert the guest's mind from the complaint to solution. Example, right? Okay, example, what I can do is, I would give you an example. Yeah. Can I replace this item? Maybe I can suggest another item without an additional cost, right? If you just say, can I replace this new item to the same item, it's just giving him one option. But if you're giving him two options, that can I replace this new item, or maybe I can suggest you to have another dish without additional cost. So this keeps the customer's mind keep thinking, oh, okay, so I'm giving him an option to think, then that means he's going to think for the solution, right? So he's not going to think the problem anymore. So this is to divert the customer's mind a little bit. So yes, anybody has any questions?
None so far.
All right, okay, excellent.
Oh, good.
All right, thank you. So moving forward, right? So once actually we offer multiple solutions, right? We should actually explain to the customer how are we going to solve the issue. We should explain the steps. What are the steps we're going to take to resolve this issue, right? Example is, let's say if the customer complains about the food, right? So I would actually walk into the customer, apologize, empathize, apologize, and then I will say, allow me to clear this. I will actually immediately replace the food, and also I will actually inform the executive chef to prioritize the order and to take extra care in preparing this dish personally for you. And also, meanwhile, while you're waiting, can I get you another glass of drink? Or perhaps would you like to try our bestseller soup on the house? So this is how actually we do. These are the steps we should explain to customer so that customer knows that we are actually taking action. Right? Okay. So once we actually resolve the issue, we actually should follow up. Don't just leave it hanging like that, right? Okay, so what happens is while the customer is, once you have served the new dish, example, if it's a replacement of dish, you have served the new dish, right? Give some customer a space, right? Do not just always going approach, everything okay. Sometimes it's actually a little bit annoying, but give some customer a space and try to understand his body language and see his reaction, right? And then from there, you follow up with him. Once that is done, you actually thank the guests for the feedback and make them feel comfortable, right? This is how you can make a problem to actually an opportunity, because a lot of complaints actually makes regular customers, right? Because the way it's been approached and the way the problems has been tackled, you actually build better opportunity, right? Okay, here, right, in here, right, it's the same thing as dealing the difficult situation. It's just that I've simplified the version where it's easier for you to understand, right, during your training, during your training sessions, or even personally applied. It's easy. It's actually learn, LEARN. So first is you listen to the customer. Second, you empathize. Third, you apologize. Fourth, you react. And fifth is to notify, right? Okay. Listen, you have to be very careful, very focused. Don't interrupt. Tell the customer to calm down, and this will actually cool them off a little bit, right? Next thing is to empathize, feel the pain of the customer, right? And try to understand the customer and see what you can do better for the customer. Next thing is apologize. You actually apologize to the customer, even though if it's not your problem or not your area, right? The next thing is you react. You decide what you need to resolve, and also explain to the customer what you will be doing, right? And what are the action. The next thing is do it right now, take immediate action, and also notify. Notify means we should always notify if we have a superior with us reporting. We should actually notify our superior, so that in the event if tomorrow if the issue gets bigger, or probably it's on reviews or any Google reviews or so on, at least the establishment has been notified, and they are aware that this incident had happened, right? That's why it's very important to also notify, right? Okay, so everyone clear with this? Yeah. So possible, please practice this. I've simplified it, so it's LEARN. So just to stress again, it's listen, empathize, apologize, react, and notify. Okay, the next one, what are the situations usually in the F&B industry, right? Okay, which can lead to difficult situations, right? So the first thing is actually seating arrangements. This is where actually sometimes hostess or probably anybody can provide the wrong table to the wrong customer, right? Because sometimes there are customers who prefer, they've made reservations that they've actually came to the restaurant to actually pick that table, and they said they'll prefer this table, but it was actually not keyed into the reservation system. So these seating arrangements are very important. That's why the preference should take you should take note on all these preferences, right? Another thing is, example, let's say if it's very typical in a buffet restaurant, right? Buffet restaurant, especially like, you know, if it's going to be a very busy restaurant, especially breakfast. I'm sure if you guys experienced this, like in a hotel breakfast, where sometimes you can get really busy, people will be queuing up, right? So let's say if there's one empty table there, right? And suddenly the hostess brings the customer, sits the customer and say, you know, this is your table, offer coffee, tea, and then informs the station, the head of station, right? This customer would like this coffee and blah, 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 right? And then suddenly the customer gets up, because he's alone, he gets up to go to the buffet station or go to any station to take his food. And suddenly he notices when he comes back, he sees somebody else is sitting on his table, right? This is actually very common. It happens in buffet restaurants, right? So at that moment, right, we should be actually very careful. We cannot, because you see the customer is already holding his food in his hand, right? Right. He's already holding a food or probably a glass of drink and something like that, right? So at that moment is, if best, we can actually offer if another table. If it's fully booked, we have to try to see how can we accommodate them. Take the plates from him, take the glass from him, so that he does not hold it, right? Because it looks a little bit embarrassing if he's walking around looking for a table, right? So as best as if it's still very full, if you have a small sitting area, probably you can just ask him to just sit there for a while, give him a drink, or give him a drink first, and tell him that as soon as possible, if you get a table, we'll try to accommodate you, right? In terms of another thing, it's food, which is very common. Food was sent to the wrong table. Another thing is actually overbooked and not listed. This actually reflects directly to reservations, right? It's where your reservations are fully booked, but or maybe one of your colleagues or probably the person who has changed his shift accepted the reservation accidentally. So suddenly when the customer comes and appears, right, it's fully booked. But how we going to accommodate customers? So at times there will be situations where we'll have to handle this kind of issues. And also another one most common thing is actually missed out of I'm sorry that missed out due to not written in the reservations, right? And also another additional thing is let's say if a customer appears and they've made booking for 4% and suddenly it's 6%, they appear 6%. So we can't just say that, you know, we don't have table, but we have to find any solution to try to accommodate them, right? Another thing is actually spillage, right? Spillage of beverage. I've actually personally experienced this where one of my employees, it was actually a customer, right, who's actually celebrating Valentine's, and it's also their anniversary on that day, right? So actually came into the restaurant to enjoy. So they ordered one of the most premium drinks and so on, right? So during the serving time, one of my employees, actually, the coat as always has some buttons here, right? It actually got stuck on the glass and he actually pulled the whole wine glass spilled over the customer. So during that time, yes, it was very crucial and we had to accommodate many things at that time, but we tried our best to pull through everything. What we did is we actually we said that fine, you know, this thing happened. So we offered, luckily they stayed in-house in a hotel. So it was easier, much more easier to handle the situation where they're able to change. We offered them, instead of having in a restaurant, we actually opened a poolside specially for them, having and probably in half an hour we set up a whole candlelight dinner. And yeah, since in the hotel, it was much more easier to do it. So yeah, I mean, sometimes when this kind of issues happen, we actually have to sacrifice a little bit to go beyond our to create or to exceed expectations, right? Okay. And some of the other items are like wait, items not available, wrong information provided to customers, and of course, rude staffs, right? These are certain areas which actually can lead to very how do I say it, right? It can lead to worsening the situation where we should actually, let me go back. Yeah, where you are able to use this concept to try to resolve the situation. But of course, it depends on the situation. It depends on the environment. It depends on the place where you are. So with that, we have to adapt. Using this concept, we have to adapt to it. All right. So key points again to just refresh back. Always stay calm. Customers are not angry. Always remember that customers are not angry with you unless if it's a rude stuff. If you are very rude to customer, that's a different story. But usually customers are not angry with you personally. They are just angry with the service or probably with the item. So do not take it very personal to yourself and do not react angrily, because sometimes when it takes it very personal, you will actually become you'll react accordingly, right? So do not take it personal. Speak in a polite manner. Use a very soft tone. Response immediately and always be direct. Be direct means try to be to the point. Do not go around the bush. Do not explain A, B, C, D, E, because of this, because of that, because of that. No, don't. Because customers do not want to hear that. They just want to hear, okay, I have a problem. Get me a solution. So that's why it's better to be very, that's why to be direct, right? All right. Okay. The next one. It's technology for F&B operations. How can we use technology to actually enhance our customer service, right? Right here, there are many types of technology because I'm sure many restaurants will have this, right? Okay, so the first thing is actually an advanced BOS system, because nowadays most BOS systems are, they have various categories, and yeah, there are some POS systems which is just plain POS for cashiering purposes. There are some POS systems which are able to be connected with delivery platforms, generate QR codes, and also easy payments like payment gateways and so on, right? Another thing is we can look at reservation software, which actually helps you for smoother process, right? Connects directly to websites, right? Where it's very user friendly for customers, right? A plus point is actually it helps you to collect database, right? Another thing is you are able to key in the special preference, because if you're going to have a reservation book manually, it's going to be a little bit difficult and for you to filter and to analyze this, unless from the reservation book, you actually type it out on Excel or create a spreadsheet. But if you have a reservation system, it's easier for you, right? Another thing is loyalty program. It's actually to enhance the experience for people to understand the benefit, loyalty, build customer loyalty, that they come and engage more in your restaurant and spend more in the restaurant so that they collect points. This is another tool, right, to promote the features, and it's actually cost effective in a long run. Right. Another thing is called a KDS, which is a kitchen display system, right? Okay. Reason being is it actually helps the operation flow and avoid missing orders. Because example, right? Let's say if you key in from a POS system and it comes out, sometimes that order cheats, right? In the kitchen, it can magically go missing. It always happens. Magically goes missing. All right. So with this KDS system, right, it's like a monitor system where you are able to monitor the orders, and once you are done, you just have to click done and it goes off from the list. So if it goes off the list, meaning that everything has been served out. This is like a second check before the final food goes out. It's easier to monitor that because now most POS system they offer this. You can integrate it easier, right? And it helps you to have a better operation, right? The next one is also event management system. If you have a venue or you have a space or a private place, it helps you to organize and plan your events, and also it helps you to maximize your space, right? Of course, another thing is AI powered software. This is actually which is now the current trend, where it helps you chatbots, right? Chatbots, it helps you to reply messages, right? Of course, it helps you to reply messages immediately. And some of the AI powered softwares, it has human touch and it responds very fast, right? And last but not least is marketing platforms. It's where you are able to your usual marketing platforms like your Instagram and Facebook and so on, right? Okay, these are some of the benefits of using this technology. The first thing is, of course, it actually enhances the experience. Second thing is it's more productivity because you're able to focus more on the customers and reduce and to build the customer culture, customer-oriented culture, because instead of spending more time on paperwork, these systems will help you to manage a lot faster and to less burden, to reduce the task, and so that the employees or the staff are able to concentrate and focus more into their customers, right? The next thing is, of course, it helps to maximize profit and minimize human errors. You know, it also helps for your planning, daily planning, weekly planning, or monthly planning, right? Another thing is it also helps the employees in a smoother operation flow because less worry, less tasks of worry, so that the employees are able to focus more on being customer oriented. Another thing advantage is actually ability to build a database, to have accuracy. That's very important in the F&B business, and it helps you to plan, to forecast, and of course projection. The next thing also is, with having all the softwares, right, you are actually ability to view anywhere, right? Connect to server and its website base, right? So it's actually very friendly. Instead of having a physical system there, you're actually able to connect to the website and make it more easier, right? So any questions so far, anyone? All clear so far?
All good.
All good. All right, excellent. All right, next we go to best practices in customer service, right? Okay. Here is where actually the certain ways that we actually can measure customer satisfaction, right? The first thing is actually staff feedback, right? Usually what happens is when customers share something to your employees or to even to yourself, right? It's very important for us to take down it and then probably share it later or even bring it up during the briefing time or when if you have a weekly meeting. But if it's going to be a feedback, it's best to bring it up during the operation or during your briefing time, right? Because these are some key areas for improvement, right? So these are some ways where actually you can measure customer satisfaction. Another thing is, of course, online reviews, right? The third thing is online reviews. The good thing, the good practice will be monitoring daily or hourly. It's best because, of course, by the time if the customer dines in during that time and if you place the review, usually it takes about half an hour to 1 hour for Google to actually upload it online. So usually it's best to check hourly if you have a station hostess or if you have the time, at least half a day, every half a day, right? Okay. And the reason being is because you are able to respond it fast and take action immediately so that it does not affect other customers as well, right? Okay, but we have to be very careful, right? Do not create fake reviews, right? Because actually it will affect your score. Because if knowing that the reviews are coming from the same IP address, uh, it will actually reflect your score, right? So should be very, very careful, right? Okay, the next one is survey cards or comment cards or QR surveys, right? This is another way which we can monitor. The following one is social media, right? Social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Redbook, advisable to be checked daily. Or probably if you can, another way is actually to monitor and see if your promotion works, see how many people share or are they commenting on the promotion or how many shares they are doing it. You know, it's actually a very good platform, right? Another thing is, of course, your loyalty app, where you can actually monitor and see the number of downloads, probably the range of frequent people who come back, and probably and then in your loyalty app, you're able to see comments and feedbacks of your customers itself, right? Okay, the next thing we see is analyzing feedback, right? So once you collect your database from here, just a moment, right? Once you're able to collect all the database from here, right? So what do you need to do is you analyze your feedback. So how do you analyze your feedback is you actually categorize the topics, right? You categorize the topics, right? Because the thing about customer feedback is actually in information client provides, right? Whether they are satisfied or dissatisfied with with the product or the service, right? Because if you categorize the product, right, it's actually easier to differentiate. Example, you can categorize by staff, service, quality, environment, accessibility, right? From there, we are able to see the trend, right? Whether is it a repeated issue or frequent issue, right? So you're able to collect this kind of data if you by analyzing this way, right? The next one is after you actually trend, you understand the patterns, you actually analyze the impact. See how is it impacting the business, right? And also another way which you can see is using a menu engineering, right? Where you're able to see, is any products been affected? Why are people not ordering this? You know, and or if it's to a reservation system, you can always monitor and say, analyze and see why there are many last minute cancellations. Probably in that way, you're able to understand and analyze much more better, right? Of course, the most important thing, and I do encourage, is digital. That means using a software to help you understand your customers. That's why it's very important to include technology to enhance, example, reservation system, post system, database. Like example, like even Grab and Foodpanda, if you log into their backend system, actually it's a very simplified dashboard which gives you everything, all the information you need. So there are some reservation systems which actually have these kind of tools, right? Okay, so yeah, here are some of the best practices, right? Before we actually end, right? Always we should have the right people, invest time in training, right? follow up. So after a training has been conducted, we should always follow up and find out and see how is the progress, monitor and see, because if we're going to train our employees or our team members, our colleagues, right? We want how is it effective, right? How is it going to be very effective? Or are they practicing it? So the only way is to follow up, right? The next thing is always to ensure the quality of food and beverage, right? Elevate the dining experience, right? If possible, like I mentioned earlier, a little small touch, a gesture will actually help. Conduct your briefings and weekly. It is very, very important because, like I mentioned earlier, information is crucial. So you should actually share the information to your team so that everybody speaks the same language, right? Next one is maintaining prices accordingly to quality and food service, right? Do not simply overcharge people, or do not market it at a high price, right? So it is very important, right? Price plays a very important factor. Okay. Next one is limit on time wait, because that's where it reflects to, like I mentioned earlier, being multitask and time management. The next thing is handle situations and complaints promptly, right? Analyze your feedbacks from customers and employees. It's very important to get feedbacks from both sectors, which is from the customers and the employees, because the employees are actually facing the reality. So most feedbacks come from there are very genuine, and we should analyze and see how we can actually make it better. Last but not least, actually utilize technology to enhance your services. All right. So conclusion, right? Customer service is actually very vital in the success of the F&B business, as it impacts the customer's experience and loyalty, right? Well, gaining relevant education and experience, right? Or getting well trained, right? It actually helps to increase the customer satisfaction, or even understanding your customer actually helps to increase their satisfaction and to actually bring in more profitability to the business, right? Of course, the first thing is we have to be very committed to quality of service. And of course, we have to remember the first impression matters, because usually if the first impression, something happens, probably the whole dining journey or the whole dining experience may not be very good. That's why I always keep emphasizing on reservations and the pre-stage, right? The pre-visit, that's very, very important. Next thing is being adaptability and flexibility, how to overcome situations. We have to adapt ourselves, change ourselves a little bit, right? Try to adapt into situations, okay? Know your products, that's very important. Treat your customers and, of course, employees well. And always, but last but not least, always provide what you promise. Right. Okay. Any questions?
Hi, sir.
Yes, sir.
I just want you to comment about mama stall, something like that.
Yes,
You
sir.
know that a lot of mama stall
Yep.
from around Malaysia, actually, they everywhere that they are doing a restaurant, right? So
Correct.
what do you think that they can make like that? In fact, the customer service that they have showed us and shown us something like no so only, right?
Yes,
So what
correct.
do you think? What do you think about that?
Okay, the thing is, okay, because let's say if we talk about the normal the mama shops, right? Okay, yes, of course, most of them, because they probably, some of them think that, people just come there, eat and go, pay off and go, but actually it actually affects their business, because you see, let's say if I go to a nasi kandar restaurant, right? Imagine the guy is very approachable. Like sometimes we go to Penang, right? Some famous very nasi kandar restaurant. They are actually very energetic. They try to attract the customers. They try to do some upsellings. They try to push a little bit, right? They try to say, this is very good. This is excellent. You should try this. This is the upsell. So this can actually, even in mama shops, they can practice this, right? They can practice this. Even as simple as saying, hi, or even at mama, right? You can say, hey, bro, how are
Yeah,
you? These kind little touch. You don't have to be very, very even in mama shop, you don't have to be very fluent in English or what. Hi, selamat pagi, morning. This thing itself, it really makes a very impactable thing in this kind of industry, you see. Because of course, sometimes imagine if we have some restaurants and mama shop, right? They come and say, hi, jumpa lagi, or something like that. It's good to see you again, or something like that, right? So imagine if we experience this, definitely you will go back. And most mama shops, we tend to go back again after 2 or 3 times. If you realize some places, right, they actually automatically bring your drink because they know this is what you like.
Yeah, yes.
Yes,
They,
correct?
no, I think a customer really don't want to wait longer for anything like drink or your food, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
yes.
why they are faster.
Of course.
I think
Because
I
of
think
course,
that is attitude. I think
yeah, of course.
it's the attitude. Yeah.
Because of course, attitude plays a very important role. And because like you mentioned earlier, right? They're also a very fast-moving restaurant, fast-serving restaurant. They are similar like fast food, right? Even faster than fast food, right? Sometimes they do not have time, right? But of course, a little bit touch of, one of the main things actually, if those things can't take place, like the servers can't do anything, the only touch you have is actually at the cashier. This is the only thing. The cashier can actually create a different can create a different experience. He just have to say, hi bang, macam mana makan hari ni, okay ke? Semua okay ke bang? That's it. This one actually, if he does it on a regular basis, yeah, customers are enough. I mean, because if when we dine in, we're probably paying like, let's say if you order noodles and a drink, it costs you 10 ringgit, and somebody comes and asks you, hey, how's your food? You will actually feel very impressed, correct? So yeah, these are little things which they can touch if in a smaller scale, or probably in mama restaurants or casual dining. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for the question. Any questions? Any other questions?
That's it. Thank you very much for your answer, sir.
Thank you so much. All right. So anyone else? Any questions? All right. So, okay, thank you very much for your time, right? I hope this training session has been very beneficial to you all, and it's a great honor for me to share my experience and share a little knowledge for you all, right? I understand it's actually a short span to actually share a lot a lot of inputs, right? So, but I hope this training is actually very beneficial and it helps in your operations, on your daily operations. Okay, so before I end this, right, I would like everyone, if possible, right, to actually scan this QR code. It's actually a feedback form, right? At least probably you can share where you can share your feedback.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can we get the slide for our reference?
All right. So what you can do is actually you can do you have the contact information for Accent?
Oh yeah. I have one guy just now. I mean, this morning.
Ask me.
Azmi.
Encik Azmi. Yeah, Encik Azmi. Yes.
Right. Sure. Right.
Encik
So,
Azmi.
Yes, we can do that.
We'll contact you for the slide. Is that
Yes,
okay?
sure, we can do that.
Thank you, Encik Azmi.
Okay, and I also will share the link for the QR. For those who cannot scan the QR, I'm sharing the link now in the chat box.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, here's the link.
all right. Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure meeting all of y'all, right?
Thank you.
So I hope all of y'all has able to benefit a little bit here, right?
Right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Calendar.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Jacob. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Encik Azmi.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you everyone for participating in today's session. I hope this session has been fruitful to all of you. Before we wrap up, I would like to request everyone to turn on their videos so that we can take a group photo for the National Training Week. Can do that?
All right.
I will stop sharing. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Shalom. Okay, everyone, I appreciate if you can turn on the videos. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ivan. Hi,
Oh,
Tony.
wow,
Hi,
finally, it's
Tiffany.
great to see everybody here. Right.
Okay, we wait for a while. Maybe somebody want to, touch up a bit.
Lipstick.
I need to touch up lah. you, you, you can see me, right?
See ya, kok. Okay, looking good.
Right.
Okay, Mrs. Chloe, can you do the honor, please?
Okay, everyone ready? Okay, 1, 2, smile. One more freestyle.
Okay, freestyle.
All right. 1, 2, smile. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
again, everyone. Please refer to the chat box for details to our social media accounts. And let's get connected. Okay, see you guys
Alright.
again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
good night.
All right.